So Joe, thank you very much for joining us for the show. I appreciate you taking the time. And just for our audience, if you wouldn't mind giving a brief introduction about you, what you've been doing and what you're up to.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Self-employed since 1997, built, bought, and sold over a half dozen companies of my own. The last company that I sold was done through a company now where I'm a partner with the original founder. I sold it back in 2010. And now I focus 100% in the online space, which is what my last company was. And since I joined the company in 2012, and I since then sold about 100 million in total transactions myself, and through our team here at Quiet Light, touched about $500 million in total transactions in that time. So I've learned a thing or two over the years about selling an online business and how to do it right and how to totally screw it up. So I decided I can't talk to enough people because I'm human. I'm one guy. I've had maybe 8,000 conversations with one-on-one entrepreneurs over the last decade, but I can't talk to, enough. I can't keep up that pace. So I decided to write a book. It's called the EXITPreneur Playbook. We launched last June, and it's starting to help a lot of people.
You told me why you wrote this book. Why is it particularly relevant now, do you think?
The biggest thing that I see people do wrong is that they don't understand the value of what they have. Right? They're running a business. If they're like me, and most people just kind of bootstrapped their business and wanted to be an entrepreneur, got it going, love it, but at the same time, they're running on a hamster wheel where they're just grinding it out every day. Hopefully they've set some goals and are marching towards that. But I find that most people don't, unfortunately. And if they read the book, I think what they're going to understand more than anything else is that they have something valuable and they need to pay attention to it. They need to get trained on how to prepare it for sale so that when they do decide to sell the business, whenever that time is right for them, they'll be in great shape and the business will be in great shape as well. And that way they'll get maximum value. If they don't do any of that and they say, I'll get to it someday, I promise you that they're going to wake up and someday is going to be here and it's going to be too late to get maximum value for the business.
So it's not necessarily for somebody who is thinking about selling. You would say everybody who has an online business should buy the book so that they know what value they have and how to prepare. Is that fair?
Absolutely, without question. Everybody that owns an online business is going to exit the business at some point in their life. Everybody that owns a business, period, is going to exit a business in their life. Death, divorce, business just dying in the vines, passing it on to your children, things of that nature. So you want to just prepare for all of that, because if you're not prepared, if you don't understand the value, if you don't get things in order, life's just going to hit you upside of the head and you are going to lose an awful lot of money. I've seen it happen over and over and over again. And I don't like to be the Grim Reaper, but I am often the Grim Reaper. When somebody says, look, I'm done, I'm toast, I got to move on. I was told it was worth this much. What do you think? And I'm like, you're dead wrong. That person was dead wrong. There's these 8 different things wrong with it. And your financials are completely wrong. So you thought it was worth 10 million, but it's actually worth 6 million. And I know that's a big number for most people, but for that person that needed that $10 million and they're emotionally toast and they need that to never work again, they're not going to hit it. And it's very frustrating and emotionally shattering. And I have to be honest with them in that situation. And I'd rather not do it then, right? I'd rather they back up their life 24 months and get trained on this exit, right? If they're going to, people train for a marathon, right? Or a triathlon. Actually, I'm doing a 5K in October, right? I'm out of shape right now. I'm doing a 5K in October. I'm going to train for it. I just downloaded Hal Higdon's, training manual for running a 5K. If I didn't do that, if I didn't prepare for it, it would be a miserable experience. It would hurt. My time wouldn't be well. And the time to recover after would be longer. It's the same thing with your business, except it's much, much more important because it's so much more valuable. It's your life. It's probably your greatest asset, yet people don't get trained for it. They just run their business and they think, all right, well, I'll sell it someday. And sometimes they do it on their own, or sometimes they hire an advisor, but they don't get trained for it. And it's a big mistake.
Can you tell me a little bit about how you would prepare your business for sale? I know we can't cover everything in the book, but maybe there is a high level overview of how to prepare.
The first thing to do is just understand what brings or plummets value. You got to understand the basic formula of how online businesses are valued in the $25,000 to $25 million range. It's a basic formula, but the details to get to the bulk of it is pretty complicated. There's a lot of nuances that go into what's called an add back schedule that prepare the bottom line number correctly. If you don't do that properly, you're losing tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in the list price of your business. And it's really easy to miss it.
So can you give me the formula and then we unpack it a little bit, maybe?
Sure. Net income, right? We run a profit and loss statement from QuickBooks or Xero, not from your napkin or not from your Excel spreadsheet, but QuickBooks is Xero. You export it to Excel in a monthly view. So you've got net income. Then you've got to do what is called an add back schedule, right? So below that net income line, you're going to pull expenses down below that are one-time expenses that don't carry forward to the new owner of the business, or owner benefits, like your salary, like your mobile phone that you write off through the business, your car. These expenses are owner benefits. And then there's the normal charitable contributions, interest, depreciation, amortization, and things of that nature. I write about what's called the 3 levels of add backs in chapter 11 of the book. And below each level, there's 6 different layers to it. And it's the level 3 that gets really complicated and dig deep. One example in that area is most people, when they use a cashback credit card in their business, they just use that cashback money personally, or they use the reward points personally. That is an owner benefit and needs to be put in the add back schedule, even if it's not on your P&L. You create a tab for that and pull it in there. I see that change people's value, business value, by tens of thousands and sometimes, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Because if you get $25,000 in add back money every year, or cashback money every year, and you're selling your business at a 4-time multiple, that's $100,000 added on to the list price of your business. It's math, it's logic. The new owner of the business will use the cashback card as well and get that owner benefit as well. So it therefore is absolutely an add back, but most people miss it.
So I get to the adjusted net income that will be available to the new owner. Then what factors into determining what's the multiple for the valuation of the business?
That's a great and very deep, complicated question, right? So, I talk about the fact that calculating sellers' discretionary earnings is about 10%, right? That's the easy part. If you've done it hundreds of times, if you know the formulas, if you know the add backs, things of that nature, the valuation part is 90% of the deal, and it's really complicated because you're going to look at the growth of the business, the age of the business, the risk, the dependencies of the business, the transferability of the business. Are you the named face of the business? And if you are, well, that's a risk, right? So the higher the risk, the lower the value, or it gets a little complicated, and I'm going to require you to stick around for a while after closing during a longer training transition period, so we can sort of every other month drop in somebody else as the spokesperson for the business. All those little nuances come into play: the risk, growth, transferability, and of course, the documentation. Sometimes people don't do a really good job at documenting their business because they're entrepreneurs. They're not bookkeepers. They're not CPAs, but it doesn't cost that much to hire an e-commerce bookkeeper, a few $100 a month, right? Or if you get a really expensive one, or if your business is really large, it's going to be less than the cost of an expensive car lease still, right? It's not very expensive, but it's all of those things that you got to take into account when determining the value range of a business. And then it's size, right? So something that's doing discretionary earnings less than $100,000 a year is going to have a lower value than something that's doing $1 million in discretionary, because that business that's doing $1 million in discretionary, it's probably older, right? More well-established. It doesn't have a single SKU, right? A hero SKU. That's very risky. That brings down the value. It's got multiple channels of revenue, might have some recurring revenue. All of these things add value and stability and builds trust in the buyer and confidence in the buyer to spend more money on your business. And so the higher their confidence is, the lower the risk, the higher the multiple. So it could sway anywhere from, an awful 1-time multiple if your business is really, really in trouble, up to 10 times, depending upon the size of the business.
And to get that 10 times, I guess you have to de-risk the business in terms of you not being the face, having multiple SKUs, having documentation, all that stuff. So how long does it take to prepare for that?
To get a 10-time multiple, you'd have to be huge, to be honest with you. You've got to have, we're looking at, I don't know if you're familiar with the aggregators now. What they're doing is buying up Amazon businesses at 2 to 4 times. And now they've got, 100, 200 FBA brands in one portfolio, and it's becoming worth 8 to 10 times. But they're doing, $300-400 million in revenue. So you got to be quite large at that point. Typically what we're seeing is anywhere, again, in that sub $25 million range. So if you're doing maybe $1 million in revenue, you're going to be worth somewhere in that 4 to 6 time multiple. But you're going to sway up and down depending upon, recurring revenue, growth trends. How many SKUs did you launch in the last 12 months? How much growth is left? Are you selling just on your Shopify store? Have you gone to Amazon yet? Or are you selling just on Amazon? And have you gone to Shopify? Are you just selling in the US? Have you gone worldwide? All of those different things play into the value range, whether it goes up and down.
And when somebody buys the EXITPreneur's playbook, they will see all the different factors that could affect your value. Is that what the playbook is about?
Yeah, the playbook is a blueprint for anybody that's ever thinking about selling their online business. It goes from the very beginning stages of understanding sellers' discretionary earnings and how to calculate it, and walks them through what it's like to list a business for sale, what letters of intent look like, asset purchase agreements, due diligence, training and transition, absolutely everything from beginning to end. And the beginning, again, should not be the day you wake up and decide you're to sell your business. The beginning should be months, if not, 12 to 24 months in advance of selling. That way you can make sure you get maximum value for your business. And I know that some people just can't take the time to do that, but they should. They're so stressed out in their business and they're exhausted and they're emotionally done and they want to move on. Time and time again, I've seen that when people set goals in their business in terms of dollars and how much they want to exit for and when and how they want to feel when they exit, they can reverse engineer a path to that exit much more smoothly, even if they're emotionally toast, right? Because now they've got goals and they can focus on them and they can get over those hurdles a little bit more easily throughout that entrepreneurial life that we all live. Sometimes we have really bad days, and that's just part of the life that we live as entrepreneurs. But when they set goals and start to understand the real value of what they have, and they're marching towards that goal, those tough days get a whole lot easier.
And what would you say is the biggest fix that somebody can do in the short term? Because I'm assuming that yes, 12 to 24 months is great, but somebody will say, I want to exit in, they're not going to do that. That's the nature of everybody. So if they procrastinate and they only have 3 months or 6 months, what should they focus on? The one thing that will drive the most value?
Know where they are today. How much is your business worth today? If you don't know that, you can't track towards your goal. Think about opening up your phone and opening up Google Maps and saying, I want to go to Boise, Idaho. But Google can't figure out where you are right now. There's no way to get there, right? Or not a direct route to get there. It's going to be an awful route to get there. Even if you're 3 months out and you're thinking you want to sell in 3 months, you got to figure out the value today. You got to get started today. If you're thinking 3 months, you got to understand the value of what you have. And it doesn't start and end with the book. Look, I wish that I could write a book or that anybody could write a book to tell you exactly what the value of your business is. But life is not that easy. Business isn't that easy. There's no two businesses that are alike. So I can't tell you, based upon what you tell me about your business, exactly what it's worth, right? In one call. I need to look at the P&L. I need to hear the nuances of the business, and it's going to be several calls. Anyone that has one call with you and doesn't look at anything and they tell you exactly what your business worth is not really telling you the truth. That's just the reality of it. You got to get started earlier though, as soon as you can, the sooner the better. Not the day you start your business. I'm not a big fan of, you should be thinking about your business, selling your business the day you start it. If you're a first-time entrepreneur, all you got to do initially is just keep the wheels on the bus and start generating revenue and building a business. Once you sell, the next time you build a business, you really are an exitpreneur because you're already thinking about that, because you know that most of the money you're going to make from the business comes on the day that you sell it. And so you're already thinking about that next exit when you start that next business.
With this show, hopefully people will pick up the book so they can start getting prepared for it. I'm assuming that even if you pick up the book, there's a lot of work to be done afterwards. So somebody who finishes the book, what's the next step? How do they go and really prepare for the exit when they become very intentional about it?
The next step is to have a conversation with an experienced advisor. And there are some links in the book that there's some, that we refer people to get them some expert advice. There's no fees for it. There's no charges for it. It's to the company that I own. It's called Quiet Light Brokerage. And we have a team of advisors that are all entrepreneurs first and foremost. Everybody on the team has built, bought, or sold their own online business and now act as advisors, helping people first, giving away all of their experience, all of their knowledge, sharing what they have to make sure that you're on the right track to eventually exit your business for maximum value when you want, with whoever you want. We don't ask for contracts. We don't charge retainer fees. We only make money if we're successful when you agree to sell your business through us and we eventually sell it for you. That's the only time we get paid. It's kind of a weird model. We just help and give it away for free and hope that you'll work with us. But it's a model that seems to be working pretty well.
No, that's great. So buy the book, then get some free advice from Quiet Light Brokerage. And then if you like them and you build a trust through these interactions, sell through them. That's awesome.
Exactly. And what you're going to get from the advisor that's going to help you is firm understanding what the value of your business is today. So you know how close or how far you are from that goal. And then they're going to help with a path towards that goal, what the weaknesses are of your business, what the strengths are of your business, so that you can focus on firming those up and marching toward your goal. It's not just about money. It's all those other 4 pillars that I talked about, that risk, growth, transferability, and documentation as well.
Awesome. Thank you very much for sharing. I really appreciate it. And it was a pleasure having you on the show.
Thanks for having me.